Happy New Year. Welcome to 2025. My name, again, Brandon. This is Short Bed Racing. And now that the new year is here, it's 2025. We got big plans for 2025 for Short Bed Racing. And just, quick 2024 summary, wrap up. Thank you everyone who has watched or commented on any of my videos, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, all those things. It has been a fun year at Short Bed Racing. It has been a growth opportunity for me individually, trying my hand at videotaping things, but also working on engines, working on the truck to the extent that I have been this year. It's something that I've never done to that extreme, and it has been an amazing learning experience. I bought that 96 F150 in September of 23, and my plan for that truck was always to do a drag and drive event with that truck. And it was a slow process to get it to where it ran as designed. So with the built 351 Windsor, single turbo from eBay, and just all of that. And while I never or didn't make Rocky Mountain Race Week in September, which was my ultimate goal, I still felt very, very accomplished with what we had done for the truck, or with the truck. Now, it was also extremely tough to not make it to race week and not have that accomplishment of 24. And like I mentioned, I didn't even look at the truck for 2 or 3 weeks after that, because it had been so much work to get it to that point. But I kind of have a renewed passion. I am doing the circuit, the charity drag and drive in April. I'm extremely excited about that. And in order to get there, two big things have to happen to the truck. One being this engine needs to be corrected with the issues that were found during the break-in, during the tuning, all that fun stuff. And I got to fix a lot of the electrical that I just kind of cobbled together real quickly in order to get it, or try to get it ready for race week. So today we are going to start with the engine. So a few weeks ago I pulled the engine and I pulled the transmission. The transmission went to Bubba Again Racing up in Cheyenne, Wyoming to get rebuilt. And the engine, I've been slowly acquiring parts in order to fix the issues that were identified. So first off, I got a leak somewhere on the front cover or the front corner of the oil pan. I've got an oil leak from the rear main seal. And the biggest issue, well, let's be honest, the leaks are major issues, but one of the biggest issues was because of running the single turbo off the passenger side header, when initially looking at that, the turbo was going to be in the way for the stock 351 alternator location. So I had gotten a March Performance relocation bracket to put it up here on the driver's side. And then I had used a CVF Racing power steering pump bracket. And with those two brackets, plus an electric water pump, I never could get the belt system square. No matter what spacing I did, no matter what I did, I fabricated a complete new bracket based on the March Performance one, but I made it a little bit stronger because of the way I had the mounts, or the way it mounted in this scenario. So no matter what I did, I couldn't get this square. The power steering pump never was happy. It didn't like its position, and it wasn't going to work. So I went ahead and I got a whole CVF Racing kit for a mid-mount alternator for the passenger side and the correct bracketry for the power steering. and all the pulleys and everything like that. So step one today that we're gonna do is get the whole front accessory drive, water pump, timing cover, everything like that off the engine, as well as probably get the oil pan off. Make sure everything is in tip-top shape. Check for any low spots or something like that that might have caused my oil leak, and then replace gaskets as needed and all that fun stuff. So, I've been acquiring different parts in order to make that happen. I have a new oil pan gasket. I have a new oil pan bolts from ARP because I had kind of reused some of the old ones plus some new ones, and I'm not sure if that's the problem. I have a Ford Performance gasket for the oil pan, as well as a new front cam seal and everything. So the goal here is to get the oil pan and the front drive completely redone before moving on to the next project, which will be the LS coils and the valve covers. I want to redo the fuel system, and then finally the rear main seal will be done when the engine is ready to get put back in the truck, along with the transmission, which should be probably towards the end of January, I hope, maybe early February, whenever Aaron over there at Public Game can get that done. So I've got the New Year's bowl game playing. I've got my little shop heater on, and we're gonna start tearing into it. So I'm gonna put you on a time lapse here. We're gonna get this whole front end disassembled, and as well as the oil pan, and see if we can fix the two biggest issues I had that held me back from really driving this truck after we got it tuned, and that was the oil leaks and just the alignment of my drive system. So I'm gonna kind of get situated here, get some gloves on, get some tools out. We're gonna start making this happen. Let's go. really not looking forward to disassembling this front timing cover in the electric water pump, because I fought this electric water pump and the leaking from it like 4 times. And I finally got it all sealed up where I wasn't leaking water, and now I got to take it all apart. But at least I know what to do this time. And so that'll be good. Plus, I mean, I'm replacing this bracket and a bunch of a couple of the other things. So like, it's all got to come out anyway. But it kind of sucks because I fought getting the leaking solved on this this water pump. So, but it is what it is. So we carry on. Let's go. I've got what I want or need to get disassembled here from the engine. I'm gonna try to avoid taking off the balancer, but I also really would like to reseal the timing chain cover, which requires me to get this off. So I'm probably gonna try to get that off without too many problems. That way then I can reseal the timing chain cover. Because like I mentioned, I had a leak coming from basically this corner of the block here. And it was unclear if it was coming from the corner of the pan or if it was coming from somewhere on the timing cover. And kind of looking at the gasket, which is just a Felpro gasket, it looks a little damp, but it's unclear kind of if that's just, you know, residual or what it is. So I'd really like to get that off. It doesn't look like there's anything damaged on the gasket. It's the oil pan gasket. However, I don't know. You know, it could have also been the corner here for the bearing or the main cap here. So I am going to go ahead, like I mentioned, I have a Ford Performance gasket. I'm going to go ahead and replace this gasket with that and make sure I get my corners really well sealed with some RTV. I'm going to use, I don't remember what I used, but I will be using the Permatex Right Stuff black gasket maker or gray gasket maker. That was the recommendation from Hurley over at Meltdown Racing when I was having all my water pump issues. He's like, don't even mess around with the paper stuff. He's like, just use the Right Stuff. And lo and behold, the Right Stuff works pretty damn good. So really, I'm at kind of a stopping point for the time being, mainly because I don't want to rotate the engine back over because of all the oil that is in the block still. I did go ahead and, you know, took my flashlight and looked at the block. Everything looks really good in here. There was a little bit of shimmer in the oil pan, but I haven't done an oil change on this engine since startup and break-in. So the amount that was in there was just super minor. So it's really just kind of break-in. But everything that I can see looks really good. You know, no damage, no anything like that. So I'm overall very pleased with the way the internals look. So one of the big things, the other big reason why I needed to take the pan off is for my oil drain line, I had used a screw-on bung, and it just doesn't work, and it leaks really. It leaks. So I got to clean the pan up. And then get this over to someone that can help me weld on the appropriate bung, which I did order. So I'm going to reach out to a couple buddies of mine and see if I can get that taken care of, which will then allow me to go ahead and get the oil pan all solved. But in the meantime, I got to also try to get the timing cover off. So I think it's going to kind of do it for now. And I'm going to take care of this, and then I'm going to catch back up on the video when we start putting everything back together, which will probably be a day or two, but in real time. But in the video, it'll just be basically a transition. So I will see you on the flip side of this transition. All right, I'm back. It's the next day, and I have got a few things accomplished, cleaned up, and ready to go for the reassembly of oil pan and the accessory drive, or timing chain cover accessory drive. So I did end up pulling off the balancer. I forgot that I had a harmonic balancer puller like kit. So I was able to pull that off real quick, which allowed me to get the timing cover off, allowed me to get that all cleaned up, and really critical that I did, because I doubt you're gonna be able to see this on the camera, but the front seal here for the timing cover was not holding oil. So probably the main source of the oil leak on the front of the engine, or maybe just a contributor to the oil leak on the front of the engine. However, I already have a new one of these. One of the things that Eric, my engine builder over at Bowtie Engines, did for me was he ordered me a full set of Felpro gaskets and filter kit, or not filter, gasket kit. And when I was assembling the engine, I had also ordered a front timing cover kit separate because I wasn't 100% sure it was in the big Felpro kit. So I actually ended up having a front seal, like an extra one, right? So that'll work out perfect. So I've spent a little bit of time, both last night and then today, getting everything cleaned up, got all the mating surfaces cleaned up, ready to go for new gaskets and new sealant. I did go ahead and get my bung welded onto the oil pan. It's now a -10 welded on bung for the turbo oil drain. So that's ready to go. Timing cover's ready to go. Water pump has been cleaned up, ready to go. So we're gonna knock all that out. And then we're gonna move on to the next thing, which is getting the front accessory drive from CVF Racing on. So when we get to that point, I'll talk about all the accessory drives and everything that's gonna be going on the front of this engine to finally get it square, to finally get all my belts working without making an absolute ruckus and destroying the pumps or the alternator or any other number of things. So, all we can do is do it. Let's do it. Okay, first thing I'm gonna go ahead and take care of is the front seal here on the timing cover. Like I said, I did have a spare Felpro front seal. And one thing I'm gonna go ahead and do because, and I didn't do this last time, I was watching and reading some tips on this, this is the original timing cover from the 95 F250, so the original block for the 351. So while this metal, it's in good condition, it's definitely not batted by any means, but there's a little bit of corrosion, there's a little bit of pitting, there's a little bit of stuff like that. So I'm gonna go ahead and take some of my gasket maker and I'm just gonna lightly coat the seal here, and that'll kind of help it seal up around the timing cover and hopefully just further prevent leaks. Because let me tell you, it was a real bummer when Brent was over here and we got this thing all finally tuned up after discovering that the ignition order was completely wrong based on the LS coil installation that I had done, which we'll go into probably in the next video, that we couldn't actually go take the truck for a drive because I was leaking fluids everywhere and in an amount that was uncomfortable. So I've got the timing cover supported here, so we're gonna go ahead and tap this on. I don't have a giant socket or anything like that, so I'm gonna use this really nice piece of, I don't know, this might be mahogany. This is a nice piece of wood, but it's what I have that's about the right size and about the right shape, so I'm gonna use it. And we're gonna go ahead and get this tapped on. Okay, that looks good. And my ring's not all buggered up like the last one was. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this wood aside. We're gonna reposition the camera over here to the engine. We're gonna get this on. And then we're gonna get the oil pan on. And then I can rotate the engine again to get the water pump on. So let's knock that out. Okay, I am just going to be using the Right Stuff gasket maker to put the timing cover back on. You know, after my experience with the water pump and, you know, basically going through like 3 installations of it to get it to stop leaking, trying all sorts of different gasket materials, making my own gaskets, etc. One of the biggest things that I got, you know, biggest tip I got was from Jason was just like, don't mess with that stuff. It's more work than it actually is, and just use the liquid. This is what he uses on his car, or the Right Stuff gasket maker. This is what he uses on his car, on his big block Chevy. That's, you know, significantly more horsepower and pressure and all that fun stuff than this little small block Ford. So if it works for him, it'll work for me. Now, I haven't, you know, it did work for the water pump. I went from, you know, having water leaking everywhere to not having water leaking everywhere. So that definitely worked, but I have not tried it on something like this. So, and I will say that the timing cover, other than probably that seal, was not a source of leak for water or anything like that. So I might be taking a bit of a risk here on it, but at the same time, probably not. So I'm going to get this all smeared around. Those of you that you know, also watch college football, as well as, you know, work on your cars, what are your thoughts of the college playoff this year? I think there's been some interesting games and some interesting stuff like that. I'm a little disappointed with the quality of play from some of the teams that I know could be playing better. Oregon last night is a prime example of that. Like, that was kind of embarrassing. If I was the Oregon team, that was an embarrassing showing from clearly the #1 team throughout the season. I think that Arizona-Texas game was phenomenal. I was definitely cheering for Arizona State. Not a big Texas fan. Haven't been since the Matt Leinart USC back in the days from that national championship. I was a big USC fan as a kid, and that game, that national championship, definitely put a a sour taste in my mouth of Texas for a lifetime, basically. So it's amazing what things like that'll do. So I was pulling for Arizona last night. That was a hell of a game. You know, congrats to Texas. I mean, they pulled it off, but it was a bummer to see Arizona kind of come back and not be able to finish off the run. But, you know, that happens. So, didn't end up getting to watch the boys' game. I was watching hockey. Avalanche is my hockey team. They had a hell of a game. And, yeah. But I was pulling for Boise State. You know, I went to University of Wyoming, Mountain West School. And, you know, while Boise was a big rival, it's always fun to see the small schools get some representation. So, all right. Let me find the 2 little bolts here. And let's get this timing cover on. The other thing I'm going to be using is Permatex high temp thread sealant here on everything, just to further assist. You know, if the engine was right way up, this would probably be significantly easier. Good old Valvoline high mileage I had from when I was soaking the lifters. I've kept in this little bucket because you never know when it might come in handy. Okay. Oil on that. Got some old dried up gasket maker on it. Sure, that'll throw the balance off. Oh, much better. Okay. Gonna add some thread locker to this. Okay, let's put the pointer on. So due to the gasket making material that as I put on there, I'm just gonna put everything snug. Then I'm gonna let it sit for, I think it says an hour or 90 minutes. I don't know. Finger tighten, let it dry for 1 hour, and then tighten torque specs. So we're just gonna snug everything up, then tighten the torque specs. really starting to second guess myself here, in that I can't find these two bolts. So it's one of those things, did I actually ever have them in there? And B, what should go there? So, good old, look at that, timing cover. ARP timing cover kit. And I only use some of them because of the water pump. But there's some extra bolts here. I wonder what they go to. Oh, would you look at that? That goes behind. Oh. One step forward, two steps back. Gotta take the balancer off in order to get that in there. I'm gonna go ahead and get that one on though. It almost seemed too long. Those are definitely not long enough. We're going to use these. And get that one in there. That's definitely too long. All right, I'm gonna get this solved. We'll be back. Okay, back. Balancer's back on. These two bolts are on. Really starting to think that they were never there. I scoured my tool bench and the floor and everywhere. Couldn't find the two that I would have taken off yesterday. So I used two that were in the ARP timing cover kit, and we got it back on there. So now on to the oil pan. So like I mentioned, I got a new Ford Performance one-piece oil pan gasket. There's the old part number if you want it. It came from Summit Racing. And we're gonna put that on. But just like the timing cover, what am I? Oh, okay. Goes this way. Yep, there's the. We are going to put on some gasket maker because I don't really want to do this again. The other big difference is this time around, I'm going to be using a full hardware kit from ARP for the oil pan gasket, or for the oil pan. Last time I used kind of some of them from that big ARP kit, but also then some from the stock, or the factory one, which probably was not the right case. Make sure I put appropriate mount here in the corners. Water to do for the I'm hopeful that this is the one and only time this engine, now that it's built, will ever have to be out of this truck. Until, of course, I decide that it's time to go faster, which at that point will require both an engine and a vehicle upgrade. You know, the truck does not have a cage in it, and thus it is limited to 11.5 with its current safety features. I think the truck as built should be able to do that no problem, but time will tell. I did go ahead and clean out the pan really good, degreaser, and wiped it down. That way there was no foreign material in there from when I welded that bung on or anything like that. So it's basically a fresh pan. Now, like I mentioned, I did get the ARP oil pan gasket kit, or bolt kit, sorry. Part number 254-1803 is for a small block Ford. This is a 12-point, and it includes the smaller size for the edges, and then your two main cap that are a little bit bigger size. One other thing I did get when I was feeling real wild and spunky one evening on Old Summit Racing is I picked up this set of pan like support rails, and supposed to help with load, distributing the load and everything like that. And I really want to get them to work because they're not cheap, and yeah, they're not cheap, and I want to use them, but for some reason I wasn't able to use them last time, but I am this time. So I don't know what I did wrong last time. So yeah, now I'm gonna get these free and see if there's enough thread to put both the whatever you might call it, and the oil pan and the flange here, and actually get it snug. I feel like that was quite a bit, so let's go ahead and use this because I have it, and it's better to use it than not use it. Okay, so because I did use that Right Stuff gasket material, gasket maker, I'm gonna kind of just go ahead and snug these up. And then probably after dinner here, I will come back out and tighten everything down to torque spec here. Now I will throw a link in the video description for all of the materials I'm using today. Some things were purchased via Summit Racing. Some things were purchased on Amazon. So the Amazon links will be an affiliate link. So I do appreciate if you do purchase any of those, that you use my link, because it would be nice to get a little money back from all of the things that I have purchased for this endeavor. This will work nice. I'm glad I'm able to use this rail. It's a really nice piece of kit. I think it might be Ford Performance. It definitely is gonna add some strength to the oil pan here and distribute the load. Kind of acts like a big washer, I guess. Yeah. Okay, we gotta put the bigger ones in here. They, of course, are not the same size. Why would they be? And for these four, I'm gonna go ahead and add thread locker, the thread. I have not been on the other ones because there's a little bit of gasket maker that is kind of seeping through that I'm essentially using as a quasi thread locker. But for these four, I want to make sure that I'm getting something on there. Wonder if that one's... This might be the downfall to this, is these holes between this rail and the oil pan and the block don't all seem to completely line up. Okay. I'm gonna run into the same problem here, I bet. Somehow I knew when I did this that I should probably start with the four corners, but you live and you learn, I guess. That one goes on. That one went on nice then. Nice. Okay. Okay. All right, those four are snug. Let's go ahead and do the back four, which happens to be difficult placement, but that one went in real nice. I said that last one went in nice? This one is definitely fighting me. Oh, this corner was my leak spot. Could have been because I was missing these bolts. Also could have been because the threads on that spot are definitely stripped, because she does not want to tighten up. So what do I want to do? That is an excellent question. This was the bolt that I had thrown in there. I wonder, it's a little longer. They fit well. Grab. But I want these double washers off. So yeah, this is the, like I was saying, this is what I put in that corner because I'm remembering now that it was kind of stripped. And I definitely was able to get this one in there. But there's like a double, there's like two washers on there. And with the rail on there, it's definitely not going to work out. So, can I... This was the bolt that I had thrown in there. I wonder, it's a little longer. They fit well. Grab. But I want these double washers off. So yeah, this is the, like I was saying, this is what I put in that corner because I'm remembering now that it was kind of stripped. And I definitely was able to get this one in there. But there's like a double, there's like two washers on there. And with the rail on there, it's definitely not going to work out. So, can I get at least one of these off? That'd be nice. The answer is probably not without a fight. Not without a fight and potentially tearing up these threads, but let's see. That didn't go as planned. Okay, the answer is no. Are they any longer? Yes, it is. So let's just see. The answer is no. So, long story short, I'm going to take the oil pan off, undo all the work I've done, and drill and tap that so I can get a bolt in there. Good times. Good times. So I got the old sugar bowl on the TV right now, and looks like the first round bye is not going well for any of the 4 playoff teams because Georgia is currently down by 13. All right, we're gonna get this off. I'm gonna get this cleaned up. I'm gonna get that drilled and tapped. And the next time you see me in this, it'll be done. I'll be ready to put the CVF Racing front accessory drive on. I'm gonna take this off, get it cleaned up, go have dinner, and be back. I was really hoping to knock this out tonight, but the joys of working on your stuff, right? What am I doing here? If it was simple, everyone would do it, right? All right. I'll see you when we're working on the front accessory drive. It's another day. The next day. 3rd day now. I don't know how these other automotive content creators can knock out like 4 videos a week. Well, it's probably because that's the only thing they do. I also have a 9-to-5 job. It's not 9 to 5, but it's a full-time job. So I do this for like 2 hours in the evening between work and dinner, so then I can spend time the rest of the evening with my family. And I don't video or work on my truck every day, but I have 3 days in a row here because I am dead set on getting this accomplished. So today, yesterday. So last night I did get the oil pan on. and snugged up, as well as a timing cover and all of that. So today's goal is the CVF Racing front accessory drive. It is a serpentine conversion kit for a small block Ford. Now, the small block Ford that I had was a serpentine, but that's the way CVF Racing does their branding. This is a 8-rib kit for a Saginaw power steering pump, which I'm using their CVF Racing power steering pump on the driver's side, and then a mid-mount passenger side alternator. This is a 250 or 240 volt power or alternator from, I don't remember exactly where it was. It is a Ford one-wire style from eBay, and it was recommended to me from another one of my racing buddies because he's been running it in his Fox body for years, and I've had no issues. So, and so far, I've used it, just a handful of times to start the truck, and it has been real solid. So, big fan of this. And then I am also running a Frostbite performance cooling water pump, high flow electric water pump. And yeah, so the goal today is to go ahead and get this CVF Racing assembly on. But first, not sponsored by any way, but yesterday when I was working on the oil pan and I had to drill and tap that one bolt location in the block, the actual tap part ended up being kind of a pain in the butt because the tap and die sets that I have are hand-me-downs from an amazing family friend that passed away a few years ago. And I inherited that set. They're ancient, but they work awesome. But the only way, kind of on the tap side is the T-handle. And, 8 times out of 10, it works great. But it wasn't working so hot with the T-handle to tap the bottom of the block for the oil pan bolt. And I've been kind of wanting something to solve that, but I hadn't found anything yet. So last night, after everything's calmed down, I got on Amazon and I did some searching. And I found this socket adapter set from SST, which I guess stands for Simple Stupid Tools, which, how can you not go wrong with that? Evidently, they're made in Florida. I didn't look too deeply into it. The reviews on Amazon were good, and they were going to get here today, which is I ordered it last night at 8 p.m. and they showed up 30 minutes ago. So yeah, Amazon's one of those love-hate relationships. I hate it because they're ruining box stores, and I can't go to a parts store and find anything anymore that they have to order in. But at the same time, it also allows this Florida, shop to basically get tools to me the next day. And I haven't used it yet, but I am extremely impressed. The, tap set I have is just the Square, and this would adapt it to a 3/8 drive, or, even smaller taps down to a quarter drive. So I am looking forward to using this. Not that I ever want to tap and die things, but when I do, I can actually just use a socket instead of, that T-handle as the application fits. So I'm going to go ahead and again, I'll leave a link to my affiliate page, or my affiliate link to that SST tap socket adapter, because I'm impressed with it. I think the quality is amazing. The little rubber or silicone sleeve it comes in to hold them all is awesome. I think this is going to be a major benefit as I continue working on things and using taps more. So that's going to get set aside, and we're going to dive into the CVF kit here. I'm going to go ahead and I got a worksheet for the alternator instructions and for the power steering instructions, and I'm going to look those over real quick and see. I think I got to get the block off plate for the water pump on first, and then I'm pretty sure the upper bolt on the water pump is utilized for both the power steering and the alternator. So I'm going to start doing a quick read, probably get the block off plate mounted on, and we'll go from there. So let's get to it. Okay, first things first is we're going to start with the balancer pulley here. CVF sends this awesome spacer. I adapted this little spacer from the Summit Racing harmonic balancer, so that's going to slide in there. And then the spacer from CVF is going to slide in there. And then the pulley is going to go on there. And it is quite the pulley system because it's the dual 8 rib, and this thing is absolutely gorgeous. Wow. Okay. So, got the bolt kit here, and I need to find Torx bit. Ugh. Dun, dun, dun. This deep set of hex bits has been wonderful from Husky. Big fan, big fan. Okay, we're gonna use some orange Loctite on the threads here. Come on. All right. Next one. You know what? This might be a little gummed up from, I think, the balancer pulley bolts that I was using. So this might be a good opportunity to use that new tap adapter things. This was not planned, by the way. It just so happens to work out that it'll work out if I have the right tap here. 3/8/16 is what it seems to be. Sure enough. And then let's go ahead and give this a shot. I think this one will work. Maybe. Indeed it does. So yeah, adapting the square side of from the tap into this little adapter so I can run it on a 360 or 3/8 socket. So yeah. Oh, that's Lovely. As a F1 driver might say, simply lovely. More of a Lewis Hamilton, Lando Norris fan myself, but that was too fitting not to quote Mr. Max there. All right, we'll do this for all four. Get the compressed air and blow them out and get this pulley on there. I don't think I could have asked for that to work better. Damn. Shout out Roy for my ancient tap and die set that still kicks ass. And old SST here for the adapter set because that worked out great. All right, let's try this again. Okay, got those snugged up. I'll come back through and torque everything down later. But for right now, it knocks that out. Now for the water pump block-off plate. It was at this point that the microphone that I've been using, the DJI microphone attached to the DJI camera, decided to no longer be connected. And I am now doing a voiceover. So this is the start of my battle of getting the lower bolts of the water pump neck attached and threaded and snugged up. And it is a process to get these bolts, especially the lower ones on these electric water pumps, in there. Now, the CVF Racing accessory drive kit that I'll be using is a driver's power steering. It's roughly the same location as an OEM Ford application. And then a mid-mount passenger side alternator. So that is different than on the OEM option for the 351 Windsor that came out of the truck, but it's probably very similar to maybe in a Mustang or something like that. But in this case, this is going to allow me to actually get a nice squared belt and not have the flex and the distortion that I had when I was using the March Performance driver's upper mount with the CVF Racing power steering pump bracket. So I know that the bracket is going to be using the two left and right timing cover holes, so I went ahead and used just some temporary bolts to keep the timing cover in place for that. And now I'm going to attempt many times to get this damn water pump mounted.
after what felt like hours, I was able to finally get those lower water pump bolts threaded, snugged up, and the water pump mounted essentially to the front here of the engine. Now we're going to move on to the CVF Racing alternator bracket. Like I mentioned, this is a mid-mount passenger side bracket, so it's going to go off the top water pump hole as well as the kind of mid-left timing cover spot as well, and it's going to allow me to mount that alternator. One thing that I discovered here is even though this CVF Racing kit is designed for a electric water pump, there is some interference between the spacer that is supplied by CVF Racing and my specific water pump. So I had to kind of notch it, grind away a little bit of the spacer in order to allow it to fit around the water neck and get a nice secure mounting for that bracket. It's one of those things that there's gonna be a lot of tension that's gonna be put on the alternator and the power steering pump and everything like that. So I wanted to make sure that bracket is as firmly secured as possible. So kind of creating a little notch in the spacer allowed me to get a nice, good, secure bolt down of that bracket. Now I'll be moving on to the turnbuckle, which is going to act as the tensioner on the alternator. Downfall here is that my timing pointer is on the passenger or left side of the engine, so I needed to adapt the included spacers plus some spacers that I've picked up at the hardware store and some of the ones that have come in the many other packages that I've received, trying to get this all to work in order to get that alternator turnbuckle mounted, as well as keeping my timing pointer located there. There's going to be a little bit of complication in getting, seeing the pointer for adjusting timing, things like that. But it's still important to have it on there when it comes to tuning the engine. So Now that the bracket is mounted and the turnbuckle tensioner is on, it's time to get the alternator mounted. And this is where I discovered I had a problem.
Okay, so after discovering that I probably had a problem here with the alternator and the bracket here with the CVF Racing kit, I kind of panicked, and I took everything apart, and then was talking to a couple buddies, trying to problem solve. And what I realized is, after searching CVF Racing, March Performance, a few other options out there for small block Ford accessory drives, I came to the conclusion that really this option from CVF Racing is probably still my best solution for truly getting the accessory drive to function how I want. So this is where we stand currently. So the CVF Racing Saginaw power steering pump and its bracket is on. It looks good. Everything looks how it should. This is the pulley from CVF for this kit, and then this is the alternator and the alternator bracket to put it mid-mount like this. And this is my current problem. This is the crossover from the driver's side exhaust that comes under, and kind of comes under like this, and then kind of comes up with my blow-off valve situated somewhere right about here for the turbo system. And that's definitely not going to work. So I have, I've talked to a couple guys. I got some pictures and some messages out to a few of my race car friends. Hopefully we can come up with a solution. Oops, sorry guys. And if not, and what I think is probably going to make the most sense is work with Jason over at Meltdown Racing and redesign this crossover for the turbo system and make it work for this turbo. So, or for this accessory drive, sorry. I really like the looks of this. It's super clean, keeps everything nice and low, which in the pickup isn't necessarily a problem, but I never also loved the look of the alternator kind of up high on the passenger or on the driver's side. It never looked great to me. I think this looks significantly better. And I think in the long run, having an actual kit designed, built, fabricated for this accessory drive is going to be just time well spent, because I know everything's going to be square and the belts are going to be nice and square and even, and I'm not going to worry about, throwing a belt or tearing a belt or anything like that while on a drag and drive event. So that's where I stand. I did go ahead and get everything snugged up. Everything's looking good. And then I'll wait and see what everybody says. So that's going to be it for this video. Next video will either be a quick discussion on what we're going to do to solve this, or it'll be the talking about the LS coils and what I'm going to do to kind of clean these up and solve kind of my problem where my mounts aren't the greatest, and kind of clean this all up, because again, these are LS coils off of a like a Silverado or a Suburban onto a small block Ford, and it has been a wiring nightmare, but also I think so much better and so much cleaner than a distributor with the intake that I have and everything like that. So that's gonna be it for this video. Thank you for watching. This is gonna be a long kind of ramble style video, and I appreciate everyone that stuck through and watched it, because this is a big learning curve for me, and maybe someone else is building a small block Ford that can learn from this, because frankly, it doesn't seem like there's a lot of small block Ford content out there. Everybody either builds Chevys or LSs or giant Proline Hemis, which, I mean, when you want 5,000 horsepower, why not, right? But we're shooting for like, I don't know, 600 or something. So that's what I got. Thank you guys all for watching. Subscribe if you haven't. Come back next time and we'll talk about something else. So let's keep on ranching and let's go racing. Take care.